Hello and welcome to this week's Elite Audio video. And those of you that have been following our channel will know that just, 10 days ago roughly, we were exhibiting at the Scottish HiFi show at the Treetops Hotel, the Hilton Hotel at Edinburgh Airport. To find out how we got on, please stay tuned because all is about to be revealed. Welcome to this week's video, and yes, we are back from our, I would say, the trials and tribulations of exhibiting at a HiFi show. And first off, I want to just thank all of you who took the time and the trouble to come along, not just from us at Elite Audio, but from all the exhibitors. And I think the exhibitors do definitely warrant a thank you and a mention, because I saw the hard work and effort that was put in from those that exhibited there. I've got to say it was slightly disappointing to hear that some pulled out at the last minute. I won't mention them by name, but I think in order to revive the Scottish HiFi show and have it as a permanent fixture on the calendar, we really need all exhibitors, retailers in Scotland, manufacturers to come together and really make it a show. I think those that did it put on a brilliant show. I mean, I had a look in most of the rooms that were there, and it was great to see all these brands, all these people with a huge amount of effort that went in to set it all up. I know what's involved with it. It's the logistics and the pain to do it is huge, and I want to thank my team who arranged to get everything there. So Barry and Elliot and Graham and Barry and Elliot, and well, in fact, all of us loaded the van up, and Barry and Elliot did the unpacking at the other end. It's a big job, and hopefully our room, for those of you that attended, met with your expectations. I want to quickly run through the system we had, because the feedback we received over the 2 days, the Saturday and the Sunday, it was actually, to say it was pleasing is an understatement. It was just really great to know that the system we put together sounded so great. And I've got to say, normally at a HiFi show, the difficulties that we face in terms of acoustics, because in the room we had, the left-hand wall, if you were facing our system, was a removable partition wall. Now, the thickness of that is probably going to be, I don't know, something like that, sort of maybe 5 or 6 centimeters. So, and there was somebody exhibiting in that room, and their system was playing quite loud, as was ours. So that presents a challenge. You've got this massive soundboard that vibrates in sympathy with whatever you're playing. But what really struck out to me was, in all of the 3 systems we played, and it's something that I know about, particularly about the loudspeakers that we specifically chose. And if you watched Terry's award video for the Audio Solutions Figaros, and that was the actual review pair that we'd lent Terry, we had at the show, is they're actually really versatile in terms of room placement. So we had no issues with bass boom or bass overhang that some rooms seem to have. In fact, on all 3 systems, I would say our overall tonal balance was exceptionally good, and I was really happy with what we were playing and how it was sounding, especially given all the other challenges of hotel mains electricity, RFI and EMI interference, and all the other good stuff that we have to contend with, and of course noise pollution from the other rooms. But very quickly, so our main system, system number 1, This is where the Audio Solutions Figaro M2s were the speakers of choice, and they sounded great. The depth, the scale, the holographic soundstage, the comments I got, there were some people kept coming back and coming back and coming back, and they just said, this is a great sound. You know, they were asking us to play certain tracks, which we obliged as often as we could. But every time you would see them sitting there in the throne and go, wow, that's incredible. So that was a UK premiere for the Figaro M2s. Doing the streaming services, again, was another UK premiere. It was the exact S1 Evo, which is the higher spec version of the S1, and that comes in at about £16,000. I've got to say, as a streaming platform, the JPlay software was flawless. We used JPlay, and actually it worked across all 3 streaming devices that we had set up, which meant changing system was literally no more difficult than going into JPlay and choosing the actual source and playing music. It was so simple, and I love the JPlay software. You can actually buy that separately. It comes free with the Exact, but as a piece of control software, wow, very, very good. We fed that into the Aqua Formula XHD, and I've got to say I love that DAC. It sounds so musical, and I think what I felt we achieved with the main system, which had a retail value, including cables, of between 90 and 100,000 pounds. So this is, you know, this is a real high-end system we exhibited. It just sounded great. I could, when we finished setting up on Friday, I genuinely couldn't drag myself away. I was playing track after track, and it's so easy to lose yourself when the music sounds so good on a great system. You'll know from our previous videos, the amplification in System 1 was by Electro Compagnie. We had the EC 4.8 Mark II preamp, and that was going into the highly reviewed and probably some of the best mono-rail amplification you can currently buy, and that was the AW300 monos. As I say, it was an astounding system. The cabling was by Atlas, and it was ARIN we had throughout, and my recent experiences with Atlas they are at the top of what you can rightly expect a cable company to provide you. The biggest part of the Atlas sound is the organic nature of what you hear. Now, that can mean a lot of things to different people, but in general, what I would say, having compared it to another brand, where I felt the sound was a little bit strident and maybe a little bit compressed, when I put in the Atlas equivalent priced cable, suddenly the mid-range filled out. The bass sounded a little bit more extended, but actually more controlled, even though there was more bass extension. The high frequency texture and detail was just flawless, but never bright and never fatiguing. So that for me was the perfect complement to the system that we'd set out as our main system. System 2 was also quite surprising, and we switched throughout each day, and on screen we had which system we were playing, so it was very easy to determine when you came into the room what you were listening to. And System 2 was a huge drop in retail price. It was from like 95,000 down to about £30,000, which is still a huge amount of money. You know, sometimes we talk about these numbers, you know, in an audio business like they're nothing, but these are huge amounts of money that these systems cost. And there we had the Revival Audio Atalanti 5s, as you know, a massive favourite of mine, and previously a loudspeaker of the year by Terry as well. I just love them. Great speakers. I think they look great. I love the retro styling, the 75mm soft dome mid-range, the basalt composite driver design for the bass driver, making it really fast, really rigid. Again, you know, the damping factor is fantastic. It means that you don't need to have a lot of power to control these, and we didn't need to. We had an Octave V110 SE valve integrated. I'll put the power up on screen so you can see exactly what that did. And in there we had another UK premiere, the HiFi Rose RD160 DAC, which was we only got it on the Thursday, and we had literally Thursday night into Friday morning to burn this DAC in. So it had about, if it had 8 hours of use when we connected up on the Friday, that would be being generous. So as the weekend progressed, I could hear the DAC improving with each time we used it, and it sounds fantastic. We were using the DSD upsampling mode, so we were taking 44.1 16-bit signal and upscaling it to DSD 64, and it sounded phenomenal. It was interesting actually, when we did the DSD upsampling, I noticed the output signal dropped, and there'll be obviously a technical reason why that's the case, by maybe 2 or 3 decibels, but it was very easily compensated with the octave. We were feeding that DAC from the Luxman NT07 streamer. Again, we were using the JPlay control software to run that, but Luxman have their own app, which is free if you wish to use that. But the JPlay software, I can highly recommend it. It's as good as Roon in my opinion, and sounds better, and there's a lot of development gone into that software itself. The cabling on that system was by Zensati, and we had Zorro cables throughout, and again it sounded great. And our final system was a very compact, it was a very simple system in many respects. It was the Lindemann Music Book Source 2 driving the Move and Groove with the passive monitor sat on top and the active bass unit on the bottom, and then you feed a simple speaker connection cable from the bottom section to the top, and XLRs from the Lindemann Music Book Source into the active bass cabinets, which have got a 1000-watt amplification built in and variable bass control. Now this was a massive room, and these speakers filled it like it was your living room. It was so impressive, not a single piece of distortion. But one guy came back in, I think 4 or 5 times to hear this Lindemann system. He was so impressed by what he heard and just could not believe how good it was, because the whole system as a whole, it was around about £12,000 overall for everything, including cabling, which is just, it's great value for a fully synergized system front to back. So just looking at the 2 days, Saturday, most of the day, I would say our seats were filled. There was maybe moments when it got a bit quieter, but generally speaking, our room was pretty full for most of the day. And again, lots of really great feedback. Sunday, as to be expected, was a little bit quieter, and that's normal with HiFi shows, that the Sunday things tend to tail off in terms of numbers. And we wrapped up at 4 o'clock, which gave us, I think it took us a couple of hours to get fully packed up and everything in the van. And again, I want to thank my team for the hard work they put in. I mean, these guys worked tirelessly and relentlessly, giving up their weekend to put this show on, and I hope you enjoyed it. And from me to my team, thank you so much for the hard work I know you guys put in to make that weekend a success. And as I said already, all the exhibitors should be applauded and thanked for the effort they put into putting a great show for you. The plan is we'll be back next year. We've provisionally booked the same room, and I hope that you guys felt it was worth the journey through. Please write some comments below if you were at the show, if you were in our room. Let me know what you thought of the show as a whole, maybe things you think could be better, and things you might like to see next year that weren't there this year. But I'd welcome your comments, so please just take a few minutes, write your comments below. That would be fantastic. I want to cover the HiFi Rose RD160 because it's the first dedicated DAC that HiFi Rose have made. And like all HiFi Rose products, the build quality was absolutely sensational. I really like the quirky display. You can turn it off, have it so it's not on at all. It does eventually time out if you're using it, and it will eventually just go completely dark. You can put on like a VU meter. It's more like a VU, how would I call it? It's almost like an oscilloscope readout of all the frequencies, one for each channel. And I don't know if I like it or not. I quite like the standard display, but you can dim it right down or say have it off completely. The unit itself will go to standby after about 20 minutes of not being used. But this DAC really impressed me for its price. I don't think there's a better DAC for that price point. I think if you want to get something that's noticeably better, you'll have to spend at least a couple of thousand, if not £3,000 more, to get yourself to a point where you felt there was a noticeable improvement. It's just a very versatile DAC. It also allows you to use their proprietary optical input for USB, which eliminates all electrical noise. And again, I'll bring the little tech thing from their website up on screen so you can actually read that. You can also use an external master clock, either 75 ohm or 50 ohm, and we plan to use a master clock with that and the matching RS130 transport. So we'll be doing a review on that as a combination, so that'll be a video worth looking out for. The other thing of note which we've got coming up is we've just received the first batch of the Quad 33303. Our sister company had a static display of those, and I must admit, I was really taken aback at the build quality. I didn't expect it to look so beautifully manufactured. And that's not to say that Quad don't make well-made equipment. I think because I've seen the original and touched it and felt it and seen it many times, in fact, and heard it, it was well made. But this takes it up a number of notches. So again, we'll have a feature on that coming up soon. We'll have the 33303, and then we'll also experiment using two 303s in bridge mode, which takes the power up to 140 watts into 8 ohms, which is a very decent amount of Class AB power, to say the least. Finally, just a very quick announcement regarding the Eversolo launches, the DMP A10. We have a few left in our We have a few left in our initial order that are available to pre-order. We're expecting those to arrive in the next week. We've also just had the price announced for the amp F10, and that's going to be £2,199. Again, we've got these on order and we expect stock maybe before Christmas, but it's potentially the week after Christmas when they would become available. But that combination, the DMP A10 and amp F10, looks like it's going to be quite a killer combination, and at a very competitive price. The two together for under £6,000 makes it a very attractive proposition for those that want a very simple system with perhaps a DAC pre-streamer and a power amp combination where everything is impedance matched, which does make a big difference. That's it really for this week. A very short summary of our HiFi show at Edinburgh, and again a big thank you to all of you that took the time to come into a room, and thank you for those that told me that the only reason you came was because you saw it in our video and you didn't even know it was on until you saw the video. So I appreciate those of you that came up to me and told me that. Thank you very much indeed. It means that somebody out there is actually watching our videos, which is quite a warming and comforting thought. So as ever, have a great couple of weeks. Not just a good couple of weeks, let's make it something better. A great couple of weeks listening to music. And actually, if you've got any questions about your audio system, if you want some basic advice, or if you're thinking about an upgrade, please message me directly. Here is my direct email address. And if you're enjoying the videos we're producing and enjoying the content and the future content we've got planned, I'm actually really looking forward to the HiFi Rose RS130 and RD160 combination review with an external master clock and using the USB 3 optical connection that they recommend. That should be very interesting indeed. So look forward to that review in the coming weeks and months. Thank you so much for watching this week. Thank you if you came to see us in the show, and I will look forward to speaking to you very soon.